Okay, with pleasure now. I have on my call now, we have a male artist joining me for a chat to talk about his music and some new releases too. His name's Don Amero, and I just want to welcome him to my show here in the UK. How we doing, Don?
I'm doing well and honored to be here with you from all this far away, but happy to be there in person very soon.
Oh, great. So, Don, where are you at the moment, at this second?
So yeah, so I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So like I often describe it this way. So if you imagine North America, like Canada and the U.S., we're almost like smack dab in the middle of all of that. So like we're just a little north of the United States, where I'm from in Winnipeg, and yeah, sort of right middle of North America is where you'd find me. So the town of Winnipeg is where I'm from.
And in Canada, is there a lot of territory? Is there a lot of land there?
Oh yeah, I mean we've got 12 provinces and two territories, if that's still true. I'm a long way from remembering my geography, but yeah, there's a ton of land, ton of trees. We pride ourselves in the fact we've got a lot of natural life here, and we're hoping to keep that in touch as much as we can as we move forward into the future.
Cool. I'm here to talk about your new single. It's called Go Girl. Um,
Mhm.
Going back to the start, really, how did you find your way into kind of the country music route?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this now full time for almost, I think about 15, maybe going into my 16th year. It's been a long time of doing this, and I feel sometimes I've only just begun, but my hair will tell otherwise. That's three kids. I got three kids, so that's helped with the graying of the hair. But yeah, for me, I started off in the sort of the folk roots, Americana, acoustic kind of thing, which sort of I think has a close relationship to country to begin with. And then I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago, I was had an opportunity to perform at the Canadian Country Music Awards, and I sang a song that I released a bunch of years ago called Church, and made an impact in that room. Had a standing ovation, which was kind of cool because oftentimes, executives and the big bosses of these businesses don't always give you that kind of treatment, and one of them was Mike Denny from the label MDM Recordings, and he loved what I had and what I was up to, and the fact that I wasn't really like a country guy, like I was sort of again that folk and roots singer songwriter, always had a toe in the country world in a way, and then it just sort of like launched me into that path where I've always loved country, grew up on country. My parents both played it and sang it, and yeah, and so I just sort of like. I've always been like, let's explore what room opens up to me, and the country community opened up its arms to me, and it's been a wonderful 6 years of exploration since.
Lovely. So your background, growing up, your family, your music, your roots, help stem the way to where you are now.
Totally, yeah. My dad was a bluegrass country guitar player, and he was from the East Coast, Nova Scotia, here in Canada. And my mom grew up here in the prairies, and they would have these, every 2 weeks sort of kitchen parties at our house, and they always had this dream of like taking music to the next level. But they had us pretty young. I've got three brothers, and kids will always change priorities, and they were kind enough to not chase music, unlike how I am with my kids, unfortunately. But they really yeah, just had to change priorities and become just full on parents, and I love that they've sort of in some ways been able to live a little bit of their music dream through me, and that's been cool to share that with them.
You have a new single out. It's called Go Girl. Can you tell me just a little bit more about this?
Excuse me. Yeah, Go Girl. So this is kind of interesting song. So this was one that was pitched to us. Every once in a while, we get these songs presented to us. So I didn't write this one, but I loved this song so much when I first heard it because it's a breakup song, which there's plenty of breakup songs out there, but there's not a lot of breakup songs that say, "I love you, I wish you well, and I'm still here for you." And I just thought that was a cool sentiment to share, like kind of like a mature version of a breakup song, kind of saying like, "If you gotta go, I understand. I want you to go on and live your best life, and you'll always have a piece of my heart." And I just thought that was such a cool way to like present that idea that breakups don't always have to be like, "Screw you, I'm done with you." It's kind of like, no, it could be just you're two different people going two different ways, and that's okay. And I love that that's what this song says.
I did feel it was quite romantic in places, just like the instrumentation and the way
Hmm.
when you listen to it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. It
Mm.
could be I wish you well, and I'm still here for you if you ever need. I think that's a cool way to, again, mature way to think about it.
Of course. You mentioned this song you didn't write yourself, but well, the other songs that you have done, you have been a songwriter and a storyteller as well as a singer as well.
Yeah, I mean, I still write a lot. I mean, I get pitched a lot of songs. A lot of songs we do have recorded that I haven't written, which is kind of a newer venture for me in the last 6 years since I signed with the label. We've had a lot more song pitches, which is quite cool. One of my favorites is actually "You Can't Always Be 21." It was written by Gordy Sampson, Tog Salter, Simon Wilcox, some great writers. But you might know the band Lady A, and Charles Kelly in that band actually was one of the writers on this one, and he and I have chatted back and forth over the years, and again, another song that I was really so glad to have, and we're actually going to be. I'll sing it on the tour for sure. But I think I've my philosophy is, it was hard for me to get my head around releasing songs that I didn't write. But the thing is I realized I get to be the vessel that brings these songs to the world, and I think when I shaped my mind around that, it was a lot easier to do that. And a great song is a great song, and for me, it doesn't always matter who wrote it. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but whether it doesn't matter whether I wrote it or not. If I connect with the song, and if I know it'll connect with the audience, then it's worth sharing.
As a songwriter, have you written for other artists? And if so, what's it like to hear other kind of musicians sing your material?
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't done a ton of that because I've been so focused on my own journey, my own path, and I've done a little bit of that, and it's been kind of fun. And it unlocks another part of my creativity because, for me, when I'm writing for myself, I often go, "How does my story connect to this?" But when I'm writing for somebody else, the sky's the limit, and they tell me whether it's good or not, or whether they want to go there or not. And it definitely opens up a whole new wave of thinking. And it's a ton of fun being a writer on other projects. But I'd love to do more of it in the future for sure.
It's another route to go down, maybe in the future, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, I think as artists, it's always worth exploring all the avenues. And a friend of mine a couple of years ago said to me, "Don't wear just one hat in the entertainment world. Wear as many as you feel comfortable and that you feel called to do." And that's why I do the writing. I have a podcast. I wrote a children's book. There's a lot of different things that I do within the entertainment world, and it's not just music. And really glad that my friend told me that one time of a mentor really who just said chase all the things and don't be afraid to fail along the way. And luckily, I don't have a whole lot of fear of that because I failed a lot and I've learned a lot along the way.
Be versatile, that's what they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Do you find music healing and therapeutic as well?
Honestly, that's why I do it. I mean, I started writing and playing music when I was 15, long before I jumped into it as a career. And at that season of my life, my family life was in turmoil. My parents were broken up. My mom was involved in a really toxic relationship and an abusive relationship. And as a child of that, there's a couple of avenues you can go. And I looked around my community and I saw other friends in my circle that were struggling in the same way, and they were getting to drugs, alcohol, violence, and it was just really I could see the detriment of that life. And I just remember thinking, I don't want to be part of this cycle of brokenness. I want to change that. And when I was 15, I picked up my dad's Gibson Hummingbird guitar, and it just something in that resonated with me, and I just chased that ever since. It was music and sports really were the two things that I poured myself into as a young man, and those two things honestly were therapy for me.
And you mentioned coming very soon, probably when this interview airs that week, you're in the United Kingdom on a tour with
Hmm.
other country artists.
Yeah,
I think you're doing London, Liverpool, Manchester, and Dublin, I believe.
Dublin, yeah, and Edinburgh, Scotland, yeah,
Edinburgh. Yeah, so where
yeah,
can people find those dates? Do you have a
yeah.
website?
So
Where are they on?
only because I know this one well. If you go to donamero.ca and there's a tour link on there, you just click on there and it'll show you all the dates, all the ticket links, and all that stuff is all there. And I'm super excited. I've been to the UK once when I was backpacking with my wife there about 12 years ago. So I'm looking really forward to get. She's really mad that she's not coming this time, but I'm really excited to get along there with my pals Jess Moskaluk, Tyler Joe Miller, and Five Roses, and it's honestly that gang all too. The band, the label team is seriously like a family, and So it'll be a bit of a reunion for us too over there in the UK.
I've had pleasure of interviewing the Five Roses and Tyler as well.
Nice.
Very down to earth, grounded people, and they enjoy what they
Yeah.
do. So it should be a good show.
Honestly, we did this kind of tour 2 years ago here in Canada, and it was such a blast. Because we're all pals. We truly do care about one another, and we were sort of invested in each other's lives, and we want to see each other do well and succeed. And so I think we're all rooting for each other too.
Do you think the industry needs more of that kind of morale from fellow musicians? People trying, just a bit of um, supporting each other. Whether you're a singer, a
Yeah.
DJ.
I mean, I think the philosophy that I think a lot of Canadians have is like, we can all succeed, like everybody has a lane and everybody has an opportunity, albeit, when it comes down to certain things like awards or certain gigs, there's a limited amount of space there. But at the same time, I truly believe, like, if we hold each other up, I think we all win, and um, I do understand there's a competitiveness to this business, and everybody wants to be the top dog. But I think now more than ever, there's a lot more middle class musicians that are living a life and a career through music, and making a life for themselves with that. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's the fact that this star systems we've seen for so long, is sort of not as, I mean, there'll always be stars, but I think there's a lot more of us who can survive and thrive in this middle class area. I think of musicianship, that again, we can all live in that space of being supportive to one another, and understanding that each one of us has a valid story to share.
Yeah, when you think about it, the world is a big stage in itself. Um, and as you say, to
Hmm.
do something you enjoy as well, not many people have that,
Right.
blessing.
Well, and not only that, like nobody has your story as much as like everybody wants it, to be at this particular level at some point or somewhere along the line. Like your story is so unique that if you share that, nobody else could be that. You might have a voice that sounds like somebody else's, or a music that sounds like somebody else's, but if you're sharing your story, again, nobody's living in your shoes. So if you can authentically tap into that, then you're an island. You're able to share that in a way and get across. And there's only one Don Amero. Well, there's probably lots of Don Ameros, but if I really truly share my story, which I think I've done fairly well, and has been I think the reason why I've been somewhat successful in music, is that I've always brought my authentic self to the table, and I think that's key.
Yeah, as you say, I suppose the music aside, individually everyone's got their uniqueness and just that one footprint.
Yeah, I mean, if we just all sort of spent more time to think about those kinds of things instead of the the cutthroat that we can always, kind of resort to, when it comes to this business. I don't. It's a healthier frame of mind, healthier for everybody to get to that place of like, I'm valuable, you're valuable, and it all matters. I think that's the way I think about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thanks very much for talking to me today. There's just one more thing left for me to do, and I'm going to play your song on my show now. Would like to just introduce it on my show.
Hey everybody, this is Don Amero, and this is my song "Go Girl" on the Dan Sun Radio Show.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining me
Yes.
today, Don.